All right, guys, welcome to the June 3rd call. Thanks for dealing with my inconsistencies on dates, but it's just been a crazy time, and it will probably continue to be that way. So I will be posting our June calendar tomorrow for the team page, and I will be kind of showing what's to come in there. For our Ultimate Portion Fix group, this week is like prep week, so feel free to continue to invite people to join if they want to start next week with that. And then keep in mind that this month is the summer sale month. So all challenge packs, all completion packs that are 160 and above are actually on sale for $20 off. Or I'm sorry, I don't know if it's just 160 because I actually had a customer who wants a 80-day obsession completion pack, and that's showing up for 130. So it's a really great time to actually focus more on following up with people at the beginning of the month and inviting them to join us and telling them, whatever you talked to them about in the past is discounted, and asking if they want to join because I don't think it'll get any lower than this. I know that the real-time 21-day fix and 21-day fix extreme are now released, and on the team calendar you'll see that the morning meltdown 100 important dates are going to be on there, but a lot of that stuff is going to come out in July. And there will be, of course, a VIP purchase period for coaches to get into the test group, and then there will be a period for customers. And the cool thing about these challenge packs is Jericho's really obsessed with Power Greens. So a lot of the challenge packs for this one are actually going to come with the Power Greens bundled in with the Shakeology. So when I get more details on that, I will post it, but I saw it in a different page the other day. That was kind of cool. So that is basically what's going on this month. Keep in mind that if you are interested in Summit, we have about a month left and you can still get a ticket. There's also a Super Saturday next month in July. I know Charleston's will be really big, and Carl's actually going to be there. If you can't make it to that one, look for the one that's near you. There's always a map on our coach office main page, and you can search on there for the next Super Saturday events. And the other cool thing I posted on our team page today is that the military waiver for coaches has only been applicable to the active duty spouse, and then it's veteran only, not the spouse. And Beachbody's now opened it up to where the waiver for military is actually available for veteran spouses as well. So that's pretty cool if you have people that maybe had to sign up under their husband before to get it, or you have people in your life that were interested in having the coach discount that are veterans spouses, but they haven't done it because they don't want to sign up under their husband's name. That's the way we used to have to do it. Now is a great time to start talking about that. I just happened to see it today. It wasn't a big release or anything, but it apparently took effect last month. So that is kind of it for where we stand now. Keep in mind that for Success Club, Stacy must be having connectivity issues. Beachbody is giving away prizes for your first month in Success Club for the year, your third month, your sixth month, and then so on. So if you have not qualified for those yet, you can still do that. And there will be, I remember the month one prize was just the coach tank, I think, which was pretty cute. And then the Beachbody Opoly is the new one. So that's kind of everything there. I just think it's obviously always a great incentive, but then you obviously, if you're an Emerald coach or above, you get leads from Beachbody when you're hitting Success Club too. So that's kind of your great baseline goal. So shout out to Amanda for probably, I think, being the only person really on the board so far this month and helping get a coach signed up. And I know we have a lot more people we can help this month, especially with these sales going on. So if you guys need help as we go, let me know. I'm going to start sharing my screen on the presentation I've created for objections. So let me get this going. I don't know what's going on with Stacy. I keep seeing her pop on and pop off. Okay, so I created just a quick little presentation here tonight on handling objections. I feel like this is where a lot of people get lost in this. Once you get past that hump of starting to send invites out or starting to make posts on social media, that's usually the first scary part. Then the next scary part is, what do I say to these people when I'm talking to them? And I think a lot of people get stuck, and then they get stuck on objections because they take it almost personally. And of course, in the beginning, and even sometimes if I'm having a bad day, when I get these really in your face objections, I take it personally too, but I just want to say objections really a lot of times are a way to help you grow yourself. Sometimes it's more about educating the person because they don't necessarily have that baseline knowledge of our programs or our products, and they really like when you're getting price objections or when you're getting time objections or when you're getting like, I had somebody ask me yesterday, are our products GMO? Like, those things are weird, but people are going to come out with different questions based on our natural tendency to question what we aren't familiar with. So objections, while they can sometimes throw you off or, I don't know, like knock you off your game a little bit, really if you view them as a way to grow and have fun while helping people see through their excuses, then it can actually help you become better in talking with future people. It can help you kind of establish more of a relationship with that person right off the bat. And think about it. You're going to be actively coaching this person if they turn into an objection, into a yes. So use it as an opportunity to coach them right at the outset and let them know that you're confident in what you're doing and let them know that you have their best interest in mind, and I say helping people see through their excuses because a lot of times you're going to hear things that, like if you're asking the right questions of these people, like time and money and, certain things that you're hearing, that this is probably the best option for them, or that this is a way that they could save money or they could save time. So you can help people and guide them and show them that you're their friend, you're there looking out for their best interest right off the bat through objections. So don't look at it as a way, to knock you off your game or to get you to shut down and talking to them. Use it as a conversation starter and really use it as a way to go ahead and actively start coaching them from that moment on. And I think sometimes we, when we start inviting people, we tend to go straight from the invite to the sure, send me more information, to we bombard them with information, and then they shut down. So we've got to kind of get that like process of asking the right questions down first, and then we can actually combat the objections in a much better way. So if you haven't seen that document, it's in our team page. It's called Questions to Ask Potential Interested Clients. We did a call like last year called Closing with Class. And it really just kind of outlined a way that you could have a conversation with someone about their fitness goals, about their nutrition goals, about their lifestyle now, and help them see, where the gaps in their current lifestyle are, or where they really could get over that plateau that they're in, or what is maybe missing from their current routine. And then when they give those objections to you, you can insert all the facts that they gave you back to them and show them that you've listened to everything that they said. So I don't let objections really knock me off my game. I actually look at it as a way to really educate them right off the bat and show them why maybe what they typically think of as like, I hear a lot of people say Shakeology is expensive, of course. And then I use that as a way to help educate them. And the first thing you have to do as a coach is believe in it yourself, you guys. So if you're not quite there yet, then I encourage you, go back and listen to today's National Wake Up Call, because it was literally all about committing to the process and really seeing the results yourself. And when you do that, you can't help but believe in it. Like if you've seen the transformation, if you've seen the physical results, if you've seen your family get healthier, if you've seen, I know we just had the Challenger post about her cholesterol levels, if you've seen your mom, be able to come off of her pre-diabetes medication, if you've seen your spirit completely transform because you finally figured out something that would work with your lifestyle, you should believe in this so much that you can then use this as a way to get really excited with them and say, I understand that this is maybe something that you're struggling with. I was there too, but this is what it's done for me. So I think the biggest objections we often see in this are time and money. Obviously now you see a lot of comparison to other products, or, you might hear occasionally like pyramid scheme or overpriced products. A lot of this stuff still comes back to like their underlying basic like lack of knowledge about things. So I think time and money are going to be the two biggest ones that you see. So that's what I wanted to kind of talk about today. Of course, if you're getting some other ones, like I get some strange one-offs from time to time about allergies for certain things, or, I don't know, maybe somebody doesn't have Wi-Fi anymore or something like that. But there's often a solution behind whatever we have, even if some of these one-off like objections come up. But we'll talk about time and money today because I think that's really the biggest ones you'll see. So the 3 kind of step process to combat objections, and I think this is breaking it down into like a really specific way, because a lot of times we don't even think about like how do I like go about this in a methodic way. But 1 is to isolate the objection. 2 is the feel, felt, found method, which if you've ever heard like any Beachbody trainings or YouTube videos, you've probably heard feel, felt, found at some point. And I'll explain it in more detail in just a second. And then the 3rd step of the process can vary. 1, you might meet them where they are. So if like time or money is really a big objection, maybe you start with like something really basic or something kind of boiled down. 2 is call them out. this is going to be a little bit more touchy and sensitive, so I'll kind of talk to you about how to navigate that. 3 is add them to your follow-up list. And 3 must be a non-negotiable every single time, even if all the other steps don't work, because you can't just give up on somebody after talking to them once. And I know we talked about that in the follow-up call. So we're going to like actually break this down for time and money so you can see what it looks like. So, you know, you more often than not are going to get into a conversation with someone where you ask them if they're interested in learning more about your program. They say yes. You might go through the whole question, you know, scenario, question answer process of what are you doing now? What's worked well for you in the past? What are you typically eating in a day? You know, are you having any issues with digestion or energy? What are your cravings? Like, these are the normal questions that I typically go through. And then we get to the end, and I've just had this happen today. And the person says, I wish I could, but I just don't have the money. So I want you to kind of maybe change the way you're doing things, because I'm sure this is the number one response we're getting. And a lot of us are just like, well, I can just send you a free trial if that works better for you. That's like our default, right? And I did it today, and then I kind of watched a couple trainings today, and I was like, you know what? I'm doing this the wrong way. So you're going to become an objection ninja in the process, and you're going to like figure out the right way to talk to this person. And you're not just going to give up on them when they say I don't have the money. What you're going to say back is, other than money, what's holding you back from getting started? So peel back the layers with this person. And I think oftentimes you'll maybe start to hear some other things, but sometimes they'll just say it is just the money. But if you're peeling back the layers, you can really like basically isolate the 1 or 2, you know, things that are holding them back and address those specifically without feeling like you're still just trying to sell that person on Beachbody. You're still trying to convince that person that this is the perfect thing for them. So other than money, what's holding you back? So this will usually take you into step 2. And a lot of times what you'll hear is it's just the money. Like the person I talked to today, I actually kind of did this with, I didn't do it in the exact way. And she said, you know, I have my dad's birthday coming up, and then I've got this other thing going on. June's just a really hard month. It's just the money. So the feel, felt, found method is you basically empathizing with them. You're showing them that I used to feel that way. Then I realized this, and this is what I found since. And so this is really kind of hard to see as is. Let me present it so you can actually see it. I totally understand how you feel. I felt the same way when I first started the program. Being tight on funds makes it rough to spend money on things, but I knew I wouldn't regret an investment in my health and in myself. I had no idea how I could afford it, but I took a look at the things I spend money on and found I could cut corners in other areas of my life and afford a healthy lifestyle. And I do this all the time, you guys. And I say, for me, it was my morning Panera and then buying wine. Like, you know, our nutrition plans obviously tell you to cut back on wine. Well, if you're buying, you know, or drinking a glass of wine a night, that's $4 or $5 right there, right? Is there an area of your life where you could maybe move money around in order to invest in your health? This might be a little uncomfortable for some people, that very last sentence, but what you could say is, you know, is there anything in your life that you're, you know, doing now that maybe you could cut out? And a lot of times, if you've asked the right questions, if you've asked them what they typically eat in a day, if you've asked them about their lifestyle, you probably already know what it is. I often find it's like somebody who's going to Chick-fil-A every day for breakfast, or maybe it's somebody who every morning goes to Starbucks and they buy a latte. And of course, when you get the latte, you can't help but buy the egg bites or the, you know, piece of bread. And that's $10 right there, you guys. So when people say that it's just the money, if you've asked those right questions, a lot of times you can kind of put this back on them, but you know, right away, you can go ahead and talk about, like, you know, you just like you mentioned about that Starbucks thing, I had the same issue with Panera. And I would go to Panera every day and I would get like coffee and a bagel, or a coffee and like some sort of breakfast sandwich. And that was about $8 a day for me. And that was legit true. It was right next to the law firm I worked for. And I didn't have the money because I hadn't ever looked at it in a way of how can I set aside this money for this. $160, honestly, you guys, $140, especially right now, almost everybody has it. They maybe just don't have the right lifestyle in place yet to justify it. And so asking something like this, or going through a process with them where you say, I understand how you feel, I actually felt that same way, but what I actually found is I started saving money because I cut back on this or this or this. And is that something that you think you could do in any areas of your life, is a very reasonable conversation to have with people, especially because you're going to be helping them figure out how to meal prep, which a lot of people say is overpriced for healthy food. You're going to be helping them figure out how to feed their family. If you can't gain trust in this part of the process, it's going to be really hard to gain trust later. So you shouldn't feel awkward about going into this part of the conversation with them. You just have to make sure you're asking the right questions to have gained that trust at the outset. So that's a huge piece of this. But this would be your step 2 in the feel, felt, found method. And oftentimes what you'll see is you're going to get maybe, some different responses. Maybe they say just no, like it's not possible right now. I just had my car taxes come up, or I just had we had to, pay our taxes at the end of the year, or, you're moving and you have to pay a deposit on a place. If that's the case, fine. You have to meet them where they are, and you're not going to be changing their mind so much. But you might say, I can maybe leave you with a couple of suggestions on a way to save some of that money. Maybe if over the next 2 weeks we can get you spending $10 a day out on breakfast or lunch, maybe that gives you the opportunity to have enough money set aside for this. And leave them with some healthy recipes, or leave them with a free trial of Beachbody On Demand. Meet them where they are and at least add some value to their life so they know that you're looking out for their best interest right off the bat. Step 2, this is another option, is call them out. I think this call them out sounds really like abrupt or in your face, but really if you've kind of developed a relationship of trust with the person, or you have, it all depends on who the person is and who they are in your life, but you might see you are able to pick apart some of the things that they told you earlier in the conversation and say, I totally get it. If it doesn't feel right, it just doesn't feel right. But you might think about doing, like I said, a couple of these other things. And then I guarantee you'll be in a better place to be able to do this, and you'll feel better. And honestly, you're giving yourself, long-term help here. It's not just a Band-Aid, some of the other things you see out there. So don't be afraid to be confident about it. If you're going to go into the call them out step, I would strongly suggest maybe you send a voice message and just say, listen, I totally get it. I've been there, like I said. It's a very, it's a big decision to make for yourself. Maybe, you put out the fact that we have a 30-day bottom of the bag guarantee, or maybe you put out that you have 30 days if you change your mind, and just say, I think this is something you could totally do. It sounds like it could fit in your lifestyle if we made a couple of tweaks. But if it doesn't feel right, it doesn't feel right. I just want you to know, I think this is the best solution for you. And don't be afraid to dig in with them a little bit. I have people that month in, month out, they say they're just not ready yet. And you have to dig in with them and say, is it your mindset? If it's your mindset, let me tell you a good podcast to start with, or let me tell you a good book to start with. And maybe once you get there, you'll have enough confidence in yourself to spend the money on yourself. Or on the flip side, I might say, maybe you need a little skin in the game, and that's why it hasn't worked so far. That could be why this would work. That was what it was for me, and have those really frank conversations with people, depending on, again, what level of trust you've established with them. I think a random Instagram send me info is a little harder to do it, but if you have an actual phone conversation with someone, or if you're going back and forth with them and you find out about their lifestyle, you can feel free to dig in with them. And then step 3, like I said, this kind of always has to be an option unless they just say, I really, I hate Beachbody and I never would do this in my life or something, which rarely happens. They have to go on your follow-up list. Or, if you have a free community, or if you have a free menu you want to send them or whatever, they have to go on your follow-up list. They have to be somebody that you continue to check in on. I have people literally that, say no to me every day or every month for a year, and they eventually say they're ready. Then I have people that, I literally sent a share cart to a girl 2 months ago, and I followed up with her twice, and she's like, I'm just not interested. And I'm like, well, 2 months ago, you asked me to send you a share cart. So, until you tell me no, stop following up with me, I'm going to follow up with you. So I think following up with people is really huge. The next thing is, of course, time. So I think time is a little sillier now, with the amount of options we have. Back in the day when we had P90X, totally get it. That was a very difficult one for most people. But obviously now that we have 20-minute workouts, time really is something we can easily combat. But I just want to kind of show you again in this context what it would look like. So if your prospect says, I so wish I could do this, but I just don't have the time, you're going to say, as the objection ninja or as the objection wizard, other than time, what's holding me back? Just like you would with the money. And then you're going to use the feel, felt, found method. A lot of times they'll say, it's just time. Maybe my family's going on vacation next week, or I'm starting a new job, or I've got a 6-month-old and then my other child's about to start school. It's just a crazy time right now. This, again, you can use the feel, felt, found method and really dig in with them, especially if your lifestyle is very similar, which a lot of times when we're connecting with people via social media, we're connecting with people that are like us. So you could say, I totally understand how you feel. I felt the same way when I first started the program. Our workouts are created for busy ladies like us, as the workouts are only 30 minutes per day, 20 minutes per day, whatever you're recommending, and can be done from home, which saves time. What I found is that by spending time working on my health, I actually show up as a better version of myself in my work and in my relationships. Do you have 30 minutes per day you could dedicate to working on your health? And honestly, you guys, when you break it down like that, it kind of, hate to say it, but it helps them see like that they are just making an excuse a lot of times too. And you don't do it in an ugly way, of course, because you're saying like, I empathize with you, I've been there. But when you're putting them like in a way where it's worded like this, saying like, you know, especially like on our workout side, like $2.99 a week, they're probably spending more than that on workouts. Or on the time side, like if you find out that they go to a class like 3 days a week, it probably takes them 10 to 15 minutes to get there, 30, 45 minutes to an hour for the class, and that same amount of time back, you can really like, you know, tie this back into their lifestyle and just be like, listen, I stopped having to do those things the moment I decided to make this shift. And I found that, you know, my life felt way easier. I was putting my health as a greater priority because I could fit more in. And I established better healthy habits with it because I had more structure. And you can word things that way. You can show people kind of where their arguments maybe fall flat or where they don't necessarily have any basis, especially with what we have. Like there's a lot of stuff out there that people find, and they probably a lot of times just don't have the knowledge of Beachbody to, you know, actually understand how it applies to their life. So it's up to you at that point, obviously, to tie it back in. And I think if you've asked the right questions, again, on the time side, you can really tie it back in a simple way like this. And that hopefully should negate their objections on the time. The money thing, I think, was way more justified for a lot of people than the time is. But time, I think, is pretty easy to help with these days. And then your step 3 here, again, meet them where they are. So like if, you know, if you find out they're traveling to like Europe for 6 weeks on a vacation, or they're, I don't know, a nurse who works like 6 days a week, or they're picking up extra overtime shifts right now and life feels really crazy. Like, okay, maybe you back off of the workout recommendation, but we still have nutrition options, or we still have a cleanse option. And if you talk to them about their goals, you can oftentimes find that there's something else that might work. Or maybe it's Shakeology, like this would save you time and you're not going to have to go eat at the cafeteria every day or something like that. Step 2, again, call them out. You know, like a lot of times what I see is like, you know, we say we don't have time for things, but in reality, like if, I don't know, I always use the example, like people say they don't have time, and then I see them, they're following my stories every day on Instagram. I'm like, if you have time to look at my stories all day, you got time for 20 minutes for a workout. You know what I mean? Like, and I wouldn't necessarily say it back that way, but I'm like, you know what, like, let's find you a little pocket in the day that you can do it. I bet, you know, you'll find that maybe it could be something that could be worked in, or maybe I offer to be the person that gets up earlier and work out with them, you know? And then step 3, add them to your follow-up list again. Like, I often find with the time thing, you can make other suggestions, especially because we have so many nutrition options. But if they just say like literally it isn't the right time right now, you know, put them on your follow-up list and make sure you're keeping them apprised of what's going on. So this is pretty basic, you guys. Like there is nothing like life-changing about anything I'm saying. I think it's just a matter of approach for a lot of us. I think a lot of us hear an objection and our confidence kind of gets stifled a little bit. So I think that knowing the right things to say back is really the biggest piece. And so utilizing this as a way to say like, okay, when they're giving you that objection, make sure that's the only thing that's bothering them. And if they say time and money, of course you can address both in the same type of method. And I think those are the 2 things you're going to hear the most. But you might hear, like, of course, pregnancy comes up a lot now. You hear like going through some medical things. And of course you tread lightly in any situation like that. But I think that like, I have some people that get offended almost like, I'm pregnant, I don't think so. And I'm like, girlfriend, I did this whole time I was pregnant. You know, like I just try to relate to them where they are. And I feel some people get offended by things and other people think it's great. Like the girl who spoke on the National Wake Up Call today said she was first invited when she was 30 plus weeks pregnant, meant a lot to her. The girl kept checking in on her and that resonated with her. You have somebody else who maybe gets offended that you ask if they want to work out while they're pregnant. Or I don't know, maybe it's like a specific lifestyle thing, or you know, it just totally depends. I've had like allergies or dietary restrictions, or now like people with eating disorders. So every situation is going to be slightly different. And of course, if there's situations that you're just uncomfortable helping that person, don't feel the need to combat their objections or do the feel felt found method with them. Like, just support them where they are. You know, I've had people who say they've had eating disorders and stuff, and I'm like, I talk to them a little bit, and I feel like I don't think I'm the right person to help them, you know? Maybe I'll connect them with a different coach who's been there, or like maybe I've found out that they are working with a specific dietitian or nutritionist who has that experience. But I can still say, well, if you'd want to work on workouts together, we have some options for that. You know, like, I feel like asking the right questions is really key, because there's almost always a solution for the person. It just depends on if it's, you know, going to meet all their needs, and you have to have the conversations that are pretty in depth about it. Let's see. Yeah, I'll put the slideshow in the like team page, maybe under the files, but also the recording I'll put up too. And the last thing I just wanted to say to close this out is like some final tips here, because I think it takes a lot of work to get to this place. And obviously the conversations you're having up to this point, or the invites you're sending up to this point, are really what help you even get the objection. So if we're not quite there yet, then we obviously have to take a step back. So having the right mindset around this is huge. I think when I've gone through periods where I've not really been committed to a program myself and I'm not seeing results myself, I have a lot harder time being excited about going into conversations with people and helping them change their life, because I'm like, I feel a little fraudulent here, or I feel a little like, you know, just lazy in my own journey. So it's hard to be super excited for somebody else and show them what they're capable of. So committing to that process for yourself is huge. But I think committing to that process for yourself also means that like you are getting excited again about why you started this. You're getting excited again about what the programs and the nutrition is doing for you, or you're getting excited again about meal prep, or you're getting excited again about putting yourself first. And I think we all go through the ebbs and flows in this, or like the ups and downs, where maybe sometimes we're just not feeling it, and other times we're like super committed. And I just encourage you that, you know, if you're not committed to a program yourself or committed to a nutrition plan yourself, talk to your coach, talk to me, like, let's get you back. Like, find what excites you. Like, I didn't think that the new 21-day fix and 21-day fix extreme were that exciting. I love ultimate portion fix, but I thought the workouts weren't that hard. I kind of needed to take a step back and reassess and be like, what's going to challenge me and make me excited again? 80 obsessions making me excited again. So I think that's really huge. If you're not there yet, figure out what it's going to be. And it's not going to be the same for everybody. I think, you know, coming off Transform 20, I was excited, and then I came to that and I was like, man, I was hoping they'd be harder. You know, like, but they're perfect for somebody else. I'm glad I did them, you know? So it's just kind of figuring out what's right in your journey and making sure you're committed. And that will help your mindset, but also help your confidence, because you're probably going to be feeling better yourself. And personal development, again, is always going to be a huge part of this, like listening to the national wake up calls, or making sure you're like, you know, like viewing the FAQs for the new programs when they're coming out. Like knowing more about the programs is huge, trying some of them out on demand, making sure that if you have Ultimate Portion Fix and you're doing it, you've actually watched the videos, or you're rewatching the videos if you need to. That'll give you more confidence when you're going in and talking to other people too. And I think ultimately, you know, your excitement, your mindset are the things that really drive how well your business goes. Like the months that I'm like not feeling it that much, my invites are kind of just robotic. Whereas like when you're dealing with objections, it has to be very human. It can't just be like, I get it, you know, it's hard for me too, but I did this, you know. No, it's got to be more personal. It's got to be like you're actively coaching them from the outset. And I put in here voice messages, the best way to combat objections. I mean, you're not combating, that sounds like really like aggressive, right? But like the best way to kind of respond. And if you're doing this feel, felt, found, or if you're doing this very personal, like, you know, you're sharing about how you had hesitations too and you overcame it, use voice messages. It goes so far with people, or get them on the phone, of course. But I think letting them hear you say, like, totally been there. That was exactly what I thought too. And if it wasn't, don't say it if it's a lie. But you know what I mean? Like, obviously relate in the way that's best for you. But doing it in a personal way is really huge. So I think using voice messages is great. Always end with a question. So a lot of times what happens is we get the objection and we just shut down. Or we give our like response as to why we think they're wrong. And then we don't really like, the conversation's in this weird state of limbo. So like the feel felt found slides that I gave, they both end in questions. It puts the ball back in their court. It says like, all right, well, let's really break this down. Let's see if there's not a way you can carve this out. And I think ending with a question, and if they still don't respond, okay, maybe the conversation isn't going to go anywhere right then. Still follow up with them. But oftentimes if you end with a question like that, it kind of puts the ball back in their court, and it keeps the conversation going. It doesn't let that objection kill, the entire amount of effort you put into getting to know this person and what their needs are. And then the last thing is get the enrollment email in their hands. So I think a lot of times, like if we hear somebody say, well, I think like the girl I'm in the middle of conversation with, she's saying, do you have anything the 3rd week of June? I think that time will be better for me. Well, I am going to say now, like, of course, like I can go ahead and give you the free trial now, and the free trial will last you through June 3rd, but why don't we go ahead and get you an enrollment email sent out, and then you'll have that, the sale price will show up on there. And then the 3rd week of June, when you're ready, like, let's get you enrolled that way, and you'll have everything right there. And it doesn't necessarily mean everyone completes, but I think you're taking some initiative there, and you're saying, like, this is exactly what's going to be, needed for you. If payday's next week and that's a better time, no worries. And you're going to keep talking to that person in the interim. You're not just going to let it be for like 3 weeks, right? But, getting them kind of excited, getting them already like into the process when that excitement is building and when you're talking to them about their needs is really huge. So if you let that lull come into play, they're going to forget about it. They're going to maybe see some other ad on Google ad pop-ups that diverts their attention from you. Whereas like if you're actively showing them that you're getting them enrolled, or you're setting them up, you're getting them into your group, or whatever, the next step is, then that will actually like be their first step towards that transformation, or that like working relationship with you. So don't hesitate to do that, and just say, all right, well, like it's totally fine. Like if next week's a better time for you, I'll go ahead and get you the enrollment out. Like, go ahead and tell me your email. Let's talk about what Shakeology flavor you want, and I'll get the email out to you. And then when you're ready next week, we'll go ahead and get you set up. And in the interim, let me send you a meal plan, or in the interim, let me send you a free workout to do, or something like that. But I think that really shows that you are actively coaching them from that moment. You're not waiting to coach them whenever they're ready. And sometimes they need that nudge from you. If they're giving you a time objection, they're probably giving you an excuse in a way, and they need you to kind of encourage them along, and they need you to get them started. So that is it. Of course, there's way more beyond this, but I just feel like these are kind of like the main points. I think we always talk about too, like, if you're having set conversations with people and you get stuck on where to go next, like, let's continue to talk about it. Of course, like, send me screenshots, or send, another coach screenshots, or post in the team page and say, where should I go from here? But it has to be a really active conversation from the get-go, and then it helps you like get through the objection so much easier. If they just tell you, I want to lose 10 pounds, I really need help with food, and you throw out Ultimate Portion Fix, spend $110 with me, they're gonna be like, what the hell just happened? Like, I didn't tell you anything, Make sure you dig in, and then you can know exactly how to like navigate the conversation when the objections come up. But a lot of times we don't even get there. So I think getting that out of them is a really huge part of the process. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay, I'm going to stop recording.